The book is Smile and Tears and Thoughts Behind the Front Desk at the VAT's Office by Efroim Gurman, and this story is Sex for Husky. Madame Pumpkins is our loyal client. I gave her a pseudonym of Madame Pumpkin just to be polite. I'm sure Madame Pumpkin will never open this book. More so, I doubt she will even open any book except maybe a phone book. If by some miracle she or one of her close relatives, friends, does read this book, they would recognize her from the first few sentences. I'm not joking. Everything I tell you in here is pure fact. It's just a written representation of real life events. If you ask me why I bestowed her with such a pseudonymous, I'll tell you. Look at her. At very first glance, you'll see two big pumpkins. This is her butt, and two slightly smaller pumpkins represent her once luxurious bust. Her makeup head is decorated with small two orange pumpkins, her cheeks. In other words, she would be fully described as pyramid of pumpkins. Everything in her body was lush and rounded, and even her fingers. I would say nothing against the woman just for being such a flamboyant, but in any case, Madame Pumpkin, all her physical opulence came devoted of either matters of intelligence. I do not know how and why she arrived in the U.S., but I think her happiness level would have been the same in any place between Moscow and Kamchatka. By the time of her first visit, he was already a long-term legal resident of New York. No need to say that besides okay and hello, her English repertoire was zero. And this was probably her main reason why she chose our office in the beginning. However, there was certainly one attractive thing about this madam, especially for veterinarians. She was a devoted dog lover. We were blessed to meet Madame's previous dog when she first became our client. During that long time, she had a German Shepherd who had already marked its second birthday. It was huge, fat dog with a number of diseases. Our doctors more or less successfully prolonged his life by several years, but finally the Shepherd passed away. Madame Pumpkin told us story of this dog with all the details, how she first brought him once home as a little sick baby, how she raised him during the time when everything was a deficit, and how much she spent on documents and tickets to bring him into America, etc., etc. We expressed our condolence, and our doctor advised her find another dog to fill the empty spot in her soil, and she did so. And she did it. Almost immediately, a week later, she came in our clinic for the first checkup with her new baby friend, 3 months old male Siberian Husky. This breed is rather popular, and puppy does not come cheap. Of course, I do not know Madame's budget. She had no problem paying the numerous bills for the veterinarian office visits she ordered. It seems that her son, pretty wealthy person in Russia, and he covers all the mom's bill, whims and expenses. During our many years of knowledge of each other, I never heard any stories from her about her son or grandkids. But I pretty much memorized the biographies of all her various dogs, even though who came before the German Shepherd. Thus, big love, together with the absence of other interests and stimuli, has created some dangerous mixture. But let's get to this lucky husky. As the policy of the clinic dictates, at the puppy's first checkup, the doctor explains all potential canine health issues of the owner for the new puppy, no matter how experienced the owner is. They talk about the health issues of the brat, applicable vaccination protocols, feeding patterns, grooming, etc. Besides other aspects, the dog has it's explained all the risks and benefits associated with the castration of the puppy at the proper age. As soon as the doctor touched upon the aspect of the dog owners, she was interrupted with the unduly familiarity. "Cut your balls first!" exclaimed Madame Pumpkin. I had made this observation many times, so it's statistically verified. Americans tend to discuss the risks and benefits of the procedure, while Russians think about the moral aspects and project the procedure onto themselves. And in most cases, any logical reasoning, there is almost zero chance for pet quality dog to have sex, especially males. The increased risk of prostate cancer, marking territory, issuing aggression, and so forth isn't at no use. Mother Nature creates this organ, so let it be. We will find the female for him. I'll pay the bitch owner if needed. They have heard all too often that in America money can accomplish anything. The doctor laid off the issue, and over the next couple of months, everything was routine. Vaccination, schedule, grooming, occasional diarrhea, nothing serious. Once, when the husky reached 10 months and owner was sick, Madame Pumpkin invited us to her home and picked the dog for the grooming. I was there and very impressed to see small-sized one-bedroom apartment full of proscennial figuring and Orthodox icons. Everything there was covered in husky hair. There was no space for anything else in this flat, especially for full-size grown Siberian husky. Around a year and a half, the husky started to mature. A healthy male in the good feeding schedule without any real exercise, the husky developed a powerful sexual desire. Madame Pumpkin was in trouble. The dog humped anything that was at the appropriate size to masturbate on him. And pretty often the subject of his sexual desire was Madame Pumpkin herself. At this certain point, she realized that she needed help. She came to us with one simple demand. Please find a fiancé for my boy. It is easy thing to ask, but a hard thing to do. Among our thousands of patients, there were several husky females, but none of their owners agreed to meet with Madame Pumpkin on the matter of most of their female were spayed, and a few that were intact had different plans. Okay, let it be a female for any other breed, she said. Of course, there were no candidates for that either. If somebody is planning to breed his or her female, they want to produce purebred puppies, so they can sell them easily. Madame, please think about it. Even if a miracle happens and you or we find a mate for your husky once, it would not satisfy your boy. Heat acquires once a year, during which point he wants sex almost constantly. Maybe you would rethink your decision about nurturing the boy. Cut off your balls, sinner. A few days later, Madame Pumpkin and her husky came to our office again. Please do something, maybe some pills will work. The doctor prescribed some easily seductive and herbal supplements for the situation. 3 days, the husky and Pumpkin came back. Nothing works. And indeed, a young, healthy male was strongly demanding his bit of sexual happiness. His only way to find a female, he thought, was to the right dose of aggression, advertising his desire. among with eliminating any possible competition. And he acted accordingly, fighting with every dog in the neighborhood, stunning everything with urine advertisement, both in the house and outside of home. While there were no responses for his advertisement, the husky more and more emphasized force his owner into the position of sexual object. And she could told us not only could she not turn her back on him, but even when she faced him, the dog would hump her on many occasions. That's new to him. No, come up with something else. Okay, the only thing I can think of is situation of masturbation. Fee, I can't do that. I'm an old, respectable woman. Please do this in your clinic. Okay. As long as the client pays, the doctor gets what she wants. The client gets what she wants. The technician who observed obtained some experience performing artificial insemination, milked husky, and the husky was happy. So was Madame Pumpkin. She even called us the next morning to say thank you. Husky was really calm after he left his product in the office. He remained calm for a couple of days. Less than that, after a week at the sex, Madame Pumpkin called again and made an appointment for another session. The husky was happy again, and Madame Pumpkin paid her bill for the service. She even tipped the person who executed the procedure. She did this next week and next week and next week. The regular orgasm took their effect. A young, strong, well-fed, and lazy male developed a great taste for the procedure. Madame Pumpkin even said that her boy pushed her to the phone, the vat, when she felt it's time. It became that too soon he stepped into the office, his erection became visible. He liked our office, he liked our technician, and he liked to be placed on a table where the procedure was to be performed. His only demand was that he should come to the vet office more often. But then, Madame Pumpkin started tailing her bills, and sexual satisfaction of her dog was costing her a significant amount of money. Not to mention the transportation, it was a long ride, and she now lived pretty far from the office. However, her attempts to reproduce frequently at the office visits was met with a great objection from her husky. Business is business, but convincing the clinic into the bordel is not entirely proper. So what should one do when they find themselves in the loss? Go to Google. And a quick search produced results. Turn out there are sex toys for dogs too. And of course those toys are produced in Paris, France. Madame Pumpkin was unable to communicate in any language besides rude Russian, and she asked us to negotiate with the toy seller. It's appeared that sexual toys for male dogs included not only sculpture of a female dog, but also disposable vagines and special lubricant. And of course, there were models with the warming capabilities for some important spots, and even with a pump for full satisfaction. Also, the purchase could be topped off with a special beach or odorant. The initial order kept in mind an euro-dollar exchange, transportation, and other charges came out to a couple of $1,000s. Madame Pumpkin made international calls to her son right from our office. It was that the first time she ever mentioned her son got approved and gave her permission for the order. For the trial run, she decided to buy only 10 vagina replicas. So we called this a French company. The person who took our call spoke very little English, and nobody in our office spoke French. After a long conversation and a lot of rephrasing, we got oral confirmation that the order was accepted. 2 weeks passed, but there was still no delivery from France. We called again, and this time somebody on the other side of Atlantic told us that they did not have a proper size toy for the husky at this time. But they promised that their creative team was working on it, and they expected to have it in a couple of weeks. A month later, the husky sex model had not arrived, Another call to Paris, and a nice-voiced lady with good English recommended us to look for the appropriately sized toys elsewhere. They had encountered some technical difficulties to build a big enough beach model that could also survive frequent usage. They measured the force impact of Husky-sized Marcher and found that only titanium and space-crafted materials could handle such a load. Sorry, but they did not have enough titanium. Madame Pumpkin did not want to believe us. She was sure that we were just trying to keep collecting her weekly payments. It was a tricky situation to get out of without losing our client. We ended up finding her private milking man who lived in her area and who, after the short training at our office, agreed to visit her apartment weekly for a small fee. Not only she would have not convenience of visits, but a cheaper service, but she also would save money on transportation. After Madame Pumpkin instructed the new helper on how to avoid unnecessary conversations with her neighbors, the sessions in our office were over. But of course they were not forgotten. The whole thing was so just unusual. A couple of years have passed and everybody is happy now, including the husky. Even Madame Pumpkin is happy. Her aging dog consumes fewer sessions per month, and she can personally control its satisfaction levels, all the while keeping things private. During his most recent checkup, the vet found the husky prostate to be at stellar shape.